Your child can understand things that even adults sometimes find difficult. They can explain the mysteries of black holes, build 1,000-piece Lego sets in a single afternoon, or argue a point with the logic of a trial lawyer. But then, they stand frozen in front of a pair of shoes. Not for a few seconds, but for a long, long time. A child who can simulate an entire galaxy in their head can be completely paralyzed by the task of putting a plate in the sink or brushing their teeth. In that moment, you look at them and feel a sense of frustration that borders on absurdity. You wonder, how can a child this smart struggle with something so simple? Are they being defiant, or are they just lazy? The truth is, it's not that they can't do it, and it's definitely not because they're lazy. There is something most parents don't see, a painful paradox in psychology. The very traits that create high intelligence are the exact same ones that make mundane tasks feel like climbing a mountain. Have you ever noticed this? When the challenge is big, they shine. But when the task is small, they disappear. Let's look inside that brain. There's something I call the boring tax. You see, your child's brain doesn't run like a standard clockwork motor. It's a high-performance engine, a Ferrari. And the rule for a Ferrari engine? It needs high-octane fuel, complex problems, fresh ideas, just to turn over. Asking that brain to idle while they fold laundry or clear a desk is physically exhausting for them. When your child stands there staring blankly, their brain is literally starving for intellectual stimulation. While they are busy wondering why gravity exists, picking up a dirty sock offers zero neurological reward. But that's not all. There's another trap playing out in silence, the invisible step trap. When you say, "Go get ready for bed," you see it as one single task. But your child doesn't. To a highly analytical mind, that sentence is instantly shredded into a 17-step logistical nightmare. I have to go upstairs. I have to find my pajamas. But the blue ones are dirty. If I wear the red ones, the fabric feels scratchy. I need to brush my teeth, but the sink is wet. If the sink is wet, my sleeve will get damp. While other kids just move on instinct, your child is stuck in a mental traffic jam of their own making. You see procrastination, but it's actually paralysis. When a brain processes everything too deeply, nothing in this world is ever truly simple. Have you ever wondered why it takes them forever just to pick out a shirt? Now you know why. And let's be honest for a second. Have you ever seen them start something with excitement, only to quit immediately because of one tiny mistake? That is perfectionist paralysis. Because they are smart, they instinctively feel they should do everything perfectly on the first try. If a sock isn't folded exactly straight, or if the bed still has one wrinkle, it doesn't just feel like an unfinished chore. It feels like a failure of their entire identity. They would rather not start at all than fail at something the whole world calls easy. You think they're lazy, but they're actually terrified. They're afraid that if they fail at a small task, their intelligence doesn't mean anything anymore. Added to that is a mechanism parents often mistake for defiance, the priority glitch. You're in a hurry. You need them to get their backpack ready right now. But you find them standing still, mesmerized by the ingredients printed on the back of a cereal box. Your frustration boils over. But in their world, the backpack is low-value data. The information about where that box was manufactured and how many grams of sugar it contains is high-value data. Their brain doesn't prioritize information based on your schedule. It prioritizes based on intellectual curiosity. They didn't forget the backpack. Their brain just decided the cereal box was a more urgent use of its processing power at that moment. And let's not forget that for them, this world is often very loud. We call this sensory overload. Smart kids often have a thinner filter between them and the environment. The hum of a vacuum cleaner is background noise to you, but to them, it can feel like a scream. The smell of dish soap, the flickering fluorescent lights, the scratchy carpet under their feet. Everything is turned up to volume 10. When you ask them to do a chore after a long day at school, they aren't being difficult. They are a warrior who just returned from a sensory battle, and they have zero bandwidth left for another request. What you are actually witnessing is a painful internal conflict between intelligence and executive function. Imagine your child owns a Ferrari engine. That's their IQ, fast, powerful, incredible. But the steering wheel and the brakes, the executive function, haven't been upgraded yet. The steering wheel is the part of the brain that manages time, organizes steps, and shifts focus from fun things to necessary things. In smart kids, the engine often develops years ahead of the steering wheel. They can see the stars, but they don't know how to coordinate their hands to pick up a sock. That's not laziness, that's a biological mismatch. Maybe it's time for a different perspective. This isn't a behavior problem that needs to be fixed with lectures. This is a bandwidth problem. When we see them struggle, our instinct is to push. We say, "It's just a small thing, do it fast." But for them, it isn't small. It's confusing, it's boring, and it's a distraction from the beautiful, complex world they live in inside their heads. If we keep seeing unfinished chores as a sign of a character flaw, we are accidentally sending a message, "I only love you when you are efficient." Instead, try to see it as a sign of a brain built for bigger things. Your child carries a magnificent gift, but it's a heavy one to carry. One day, they will change the world with ideas we haven't even thought of yet. But if we don't stand by them right now, one day they will stop trying to explain. Not because they've stopped seeing the wonders in their head, but because they've realized that no one ever really understands. They don't need another teacher to show them how to brush their teeth. They need a partner who understands that sometimes picking up a sock is harder than decoding a galaxy. In that moment, when they stand frozen in front of those shoes, what will you choose to do? Push a child who is already paralyzed, or patiently wait for that Ferrari brain to find its way? The real question isn't why they can't do the small things. The real question is, are we brave enough to accept the side effects of their genius so they don't have to be lonely in their own intelligence?